hosting a summit meeting at Camp David with half a dozen Persian Gulf countries. The president's trying to convince them to get on board with his nuclear deal with Iran. So far, it's not going too well. Just 2 out of the 6 leaders invited showed up. But just a short time ago, in a photo op for the press with the officials that did show up, President Obama promised the U.S. will stand by those Gulf oil allies amid tensions with Iran. That promise includes closer defense and security cooperation. Here's the president just moments ago.
And I was very explicit, as will be reflected in the joint statement that we released, that the United States will stand by our GCC partners against external attack.
Now, that was the president. Joining me now are 2 guests in this segment, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy. He is author of the book, A Battle for the Soul of Islam, and Fox News Middle East analyst Walid Phares. Welcome to you both. Great to have you here. With these talks, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, the UAE, Oman, they're not at this summit. 4 out of 6 of these countries staying home. Walid, I'll start with you. What do you make of that?
Well, first of all, President Obama invited them not during, not before, but after he sealed off the first round of negotiations with the Iranian regime, and the train was on the track. And these Arab nations have been telling, or indirectly, why are we not sitting on that table with you? So that was before the events in Yemen. Then in Yemen, a pro-Iranian militia, after the signing of that agreement with the Iranians, where the Iranians were supposed to change direction, that militia seized almost 80% of Yemen. So now the Saudis and the others are very concerned about the real intentions of Iran.
Exactly so. And I think many of them are deeply concerned about what the U.S. is doing in this negotiation. Zuhdi, to you, what are the prospects that these folks are all going to come together on the president's deal with Iran, which so many countries have spoken out against?
Well, I don't see that much hope in that. I think the president feels like he's just going to do it while guaranteeing them some type of support, armamentation. We're basically seeing the president fuel an arms race, and it's interesting to look. While he had his presser today, the Iranian Press TV has on its homepage a press conference they had with the head of Iraq. So why isn't Iraq included? They're an Arab nation, but yet they seem to have gone to the Iranian side. The president has used harsh language against Iran today in the Arab media, while the Arab governments see us as going from one side of the tennis court to the other with no vision, no plan. And it's really just sad to see the reactive nature of our president rather than proactive in leading this community, which needs leadership in a very tribal society.
Well, let me tell you how much we're not being respected. One of these leaders decided to go to the horse show in England with the Queen instead of showing up at this thing. I mean, this is the level we've come to in these negotiations. But let me get you to address the president's concerns directly here, because we have sound from the National Security Advisor, Ben Rhodes, about why the president is so insistent on this deal with Iran. Listen to this.
Our position is very clear. Iran has had a nuclear program that has been for at least 2 decades now. They have been continuing those actions unconstrained and often without intrusive inspection. And our point is, under this agreement that we're pursuing with the Iranians, that program will be rolled back and face significant limitations.
So I'll lead to you. 2 decades is what this White House official is saying. 2 decades they've had a nuclear program underway. The White House argument is, wouldn't it be better to be at the table with the Iranians if they're about to get nuclear capability? Well, how do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, that's not true. It's not factual that they were, they were not constrained. They were constrained actually since 2003. What were they doing is the other question. They were developing missiles. They actually slowed down on the nukes, developed the missiles, and now they obtained the agreement with the Obama administration. And what they obtained with it, more importantly, billions of dollars. What did they do the next day after the interim agreement? They started the process of buying anti-flights, anti-airplane missiles to make sure to protect the nuke to come. So I think that this agreement actually is going to give the Iranian regime the ability to produce the nukes and to protect them at the same time.
And beyond that, it looks like the entire Middle East is going to become nuclearized. Zuhdi, to you, we have different folks in Saudi Arabia and elsewhere saying, well, you know, it looks like we're going to get help in developing our nuclear program. Have we inadvertently, in our efforts to get on board with Iran, made it possible for everybody there to be nuclearized?
Well, I hate to say it. I mean, it sort of seems that way. We have sort of an India-Pakistan scenario happening, but that was much more stable than what this is, as we see Iran firing at boats today, and we see the continued militarization of the Middle East, more so with arms. Had Russia sell S-300 surface-to-air missiles to Iran, which was blocked in 2010 by the U.S. and Israel, and now it's just sort of happening. The president talking about lifting sanctions, which would loosen billions to further fuel terrorism in the region by Shia Islamist radicals, and Saudis are also fueling some of the Islamist militants. So it's sad that there's no adults in the Middle East anymore, and the president has abrogated that because he wants a solution, if you will, a treaty, and gladly the House today signed that they're going to at least get an opportunity to review that.
Well, Zuhdi brings up Israel. What about our treatment of countries that have been longtime allies of ours? What do you make of that?
Well, it has been the case since 2009 that our natural allies we've abandoned, and those who were radicals we've tried to partner with. I begin with the Muslim Brotherhood. The Obama administration tried over the past 4 or 5 years to partner with them in Egypt and in Tunisia. And what was the response of the people of Egypt and Tunisia? Rejecting this. Same thing happened with Israel, and now same thing is happening with the Gulf states. So across the board, instead of siding with our natural allies, whatever those allies are, we are reaching out to the Iranian regime and the Muslim Brotherhood against the will of the peoples.
Zuhdi, talk to me a little bit about our standing in the world, because this is what I'm really concerned about and really worried about, frankly. It seems to me that we lose standing every single day. Do you agree?
Well, we really do. And the sad thing is, if you understood Middle East tribalism and dictators and autocrats, you'd understand they usually come to the table when they have to. They only understand, as President Reagan used to say, peace through strength, when they have to act in their own best interest. If you let them act because it makes sense or because
Zuhdi,
they want to...
I'm going to have to interrupt you. We have a press conference about to